Hey guys, how you doing? So today we got a tool review, and this is by the company ANCEL, and this is an advanced circuit tester. This is their PB600 circuit tester. So we're going to take this out of the box and we're going to take a look at it and do a couple tests with it, or at least show how it's used. So here's the unit right here. You've got an extension cable so that, you know, if you're connected to the battery up front, you can be all the way in the back of the car, you know, checking circuits back there. Now, normally, if you're just under the hood, you don't have to worry about the extension cable. You've just got the one that's about, it's at least 7 or 8 foot long by itself. So, that's probably all we're going to do. It does come with a little hook. I'm going to put this hook on real quick. I think that will be kind of handy, so you can kind of hang it up. But let's take a look at what's inside this little bag here. This unit does come with a USB-C, Type-C USB port. And not only is that for updating the firmware on it, but this little relay checker plugs into that port, and you use some of the outputs from this port on the relay. And we're going to check. I got a couple of relays we can check. It does come with a wire piercing probe. Comes with a regular long probe, and it looks like a shorter probe. Now these probes can fit right into the end of it, just like that. Or, even though that looks like a protective guard that you would pull off, you don't pull that off. You can plug the extension cable here in and take your piercing probe and plug right onto the end, just like that. Now you don't have to be holding, you know, the unit whenever you've got it pierced into a wire. Now, let's go through the manual real quick, just so you kind of get an idea of what all this thing is capable of. So, as far as the specs, we got a 2.4-inch TFT display. The operating temperature range is -4 to 122 degrees. Storage range -40 to 149. That's Fahrenheit. Voltage-wise, it's good from anywhere from 8 volts to 35 volts. Here's DC-AC voltage test. -110 volts to positive 110 volts. That's true RMS measure. Frequency 0 to 1 megahertz. Duty cycle 0 to 100%. Fuel injection 0 to 180 volts, or 0 to 25 milliseconds. Resistance 0 to 1 mega ohm. Diode, germanium diode or silicon diode. Relay test, regular vehicle 4-pin or 5-pin relays. Relays like this, or like this, or other types of relays. Battery test, 100 to 2000 cold cranking amp, 12 volt battery. Current rating 1 amp to 8 amps. So tells you everything that it comes with. It's got a function introduction. Of course, it'll work just like a multimeter, but it's got a little oscilloscope built in, multimeter, an injector tester, relay tester, battery tester, active component testing. PN test, it says this function is the same as the diode test in the multimeter function. So I guess that's basically a diode test. So it's got a little breakdown here of DC voltage. You know, it shows you how to connect it to the battery. You've got this little auxiliary cable that you connect to ground for checking circuits. Your AC voltage, you got frequency. You got duty cycle, resistance test, diode test, fuel injection test, and it looks like it will show a waveform of the pattern. Relay test. And it's got a battery test, and it looks like it's got one of those full induction style battery testers. Cranking test, charging test, and activating components You can activate, like if you're wanting to turn on light bulb or something, you can use this to, if you're connected on your battery and you're back in the back and you're needing to actuate a like a trunk solenoid or a light bulb or something, you can use this to do that. That way you don't have to run jumper wires all the way back to the back and to get your power and ground back there. It's got a system setup, install/update software, and looks like a 90-day warranty. So let me get this screwed onto the unit real quick, and then we're going to take it out to the car and we're going to see how this thing looks. Okay, got the little hook on there, so feels pretty good. Now I'll be able to hook it onto stuff. And I don't think this has actually got a battery in it. I think it's powered 100% by the clamps whenever you connect it to the car battery. So let's go out there and let's see how this is going to work. So it's got a nice fast boot up. I also noticed that it's got 2 lights on the front, so if you're under the hood or it's dark, it lights up your area so that you can see what you're doing. And yeah, this reflection's probably going to not do you any good. Now this is not a touch screen, but you can see the menus. Hopefully, there's setup, PN test, down here, active, which is, I think that's what you use to activate things, battery test, relay test, injector, multimeter, oscilloscope. So let's just go over to the multimeter. Okay, so right here on this screen, you've got your diode, you got your resistance. So that's the multimeter function that has both ohm or resistance and diode check. So if I go over here onto the ground, 0.0 ohms. So I'm going straight to where I'm connected. Let's go down here on the, will this show us anything? Yeah. So if I go, yep, there we go. 0 ohms. It's actually 0.8. Nothing there on the throttle body. Let's go to this bolt right here. And we're getting, that's about 456 ohms. Then if you wanted to do diode, just go down, got your diode check. To go back to a previous menu, hit this button here. We'll do the oscilloscope here in a minute once I figure out what we want to connect to. Injector. I'm on the injector function there. This is the wire piercer. And all you do is you reach in there and you hook it, and then you screw it in. And as you screw it, it pierces the wire. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing there's the milliseconds. That's the pulse width of the injector. And that'll probably come down as the idle comes down. I just started it up. This vehicle is cold. I just hit the OK button. And there's the pattern, the waveform. Hopefully you're able to see that. We got minimum voltage 2.6 volts, max 72.8 volts with a 4.4 millisecond pulse width. And again, to go back, you just hit the back button. All right, I'm gonna go shut this off and go to the next one. Now we're gonna do relay test. It's got 4-pin, 5-pin. We'll go ahead and do 5-pin. I can hear clicking in this as I was trying to actuate the relay right now. It's showing X because it didn't see anything. That's pretty cool. All right, that gives you a better idea of what the display looks like. I use the extension cable to get it out there to a battery on one of the cars so I can be in here in the garage. So the relay test is right here. We're going to use the USB-C connector, plug it in. I think we're also going to need this. And the picture here gives you a pretty good layout of the way the pins are supposed to, or the wires are supposed to hook up to the pins. So we got the auxiliary ground lead, which is this one, hooks up to this lead. Then you've got the red, the green goes to the middle, the black, and then the probe here is going to touch the last lead. So let me get right down here to relay test, and we'll go to, this is a 5-pin. And this is a used relay. It did, I don't know if you heard it click. Let's go back and try that again. I did slip off of it, so that might have been why it, I'm going to hit OK. Okay, it did check out good. That's a good solid click. Let's do a 4-pin. And what it's doing is actuating the relay, and it's making sure that the normally open and normally closed contacts are working. Okay, so now your 4-pin, you're not going to have this center, so the green's not going to hook up. So we're going to have red, we're going to have black, black. I'm going to go here, the red, here, your auxiliary, here, and then we're going to touch the probe here. We're going to go back so we can select 4-pin. And hear it clicking. Come back and said it was okay. So, I mean, that seems to work pretty good. The fuel injection seemed to work pretty good. Now the battery tester, go back. The battery tester, I've done videos on these induction style battery testers, so I don't think we're going to go through one. You know what, we'll do the battery test because I do have it hooked up to the car. Basically all you're going to do is go okay, check surface charge, headlights on for about 10 seconds, turn lights off. We're going to hit OK, and I'm just going to hit regular flooded. I don't know what this, actually I do know, it is an AGM. we're going to put in, we're just going to put in 700 cranking amps. I don't know what it is. This is just to show you that, you know, this has got a built-in battery tester. Healthy, 100%, charged 37%. So the voltage on this car is at 12.22. Internal resistance 3.8 milliohm. And I put in 700 cold cranking amps. So, and it's also got a cranking test and a charging test. And I'm sure it probably works just like the other induction style testers. Now the active, you got battery positive, battery negative. Okay, you got us a light bulb. Let's say you're in back of the car, you're checking, you know, brake lights or tail lights. I'm just going to clip off on that one. Then I'm going to come right over here, touch that probe. There we go. So I'm putting power. Okay, so when you hit the left button, watch the little buttons right here. You got battery positive. That's lit up. I'm putting 12.2 volts out on the probe here. If I hit this button, I'm putting ground out on this probe. So that's pretty cool. That way you've got power and ground at your disposal wherever you've got this tool once you've got it hooked to the car battery. Pretty nice little feature. So again, and of course if I hit ground, nothing's going to happen because I'm putting ground on both those. Okay, so that was active. We did the injector, we did multimeter, relay, battery. That was the active test. The PN test, they said, was the same thing as the diode test. So basically you've got a PN test, which is diode test. And then the setup we have not went into. You got language, key beep. And you know what? I like those beeps off. Tool self-test. Kind of cool. Keyboard test, LED test. I guess these LEDs up top here. So let's go back. We're going to go over here to the oscilloscope because I want to see what this actually will give us. This is where your duty cycle's at too. So you got your volts DC, volts AC, frequency, and you've got duty cycle. So if you're wanting to check the duty cycle, you can do that. All right, guys, so I'm just going to probe into the diagnostic port here. I've got it set to frequency. I don't know how good you're going to be able to see that. We've got some activity there. Now, you do have a little bit of control over the time base, so 20 nanoseconds. Then you can move it on up. There's 1 millisecond, 2 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds. If you hit OK, it'll tell you the actual frequency that it's able to detect. It's shown to be about 27.6 kilohertz. You hit it again, it goes back to your graphing. We'll just, since we got it plugged in, we're going to go ahead and go to duty cycle. And duty cycle will show you the on and off pattern. It'll also show you the minimum, max, and the percent of duty cycle. So right now we're at 16% duty cycle. Normally you don't use duty cycle to check your CAN bus, but just for demonstration, to show you that it will detect duty cycle. There we're sitting at about 16% duty cycle. And all duty cycle is the percent of on and off compared to one another. So if you had a 50% duty cycle, you'd have the same exact amount of on as you do off. If you had a 90% duty cycle, you'd have 90% on, 10% off. So that's how duty cycle works. And then of course you've got volts DC and AC. So that's pretty much it for this tool. Yeah, if you was having to troubleshoot a wiring problem or a circuit, then you could connect to the battery, walk all the way around the car. If you had it up on a lift, you could go all the way down the bottom. You'd have your power and ground, multimeter, oscilloscope. You could activate, you know, whatever you need. So I can see where this could be handy in a lot of cases. It's not that expensive. So if you think this might be something that you can use, check it out. I'll put a link, and you can check out the ANCEL PB600. Does have a case, which is nice, so you can keep everything in the case. Anyway, we're done. You guys take care, and we'll see you.